Hello, my name is Allison Vink, and today I'd like to talk to you about part 3 of my session 4 assignment, talking about how the Kinsman Redeemer theme and God's faithfulness theme weaves throughout the greater story of the Old Testament. Now, the entire Old Testament is giving a picture of salvation, talking about how God created a beautiful world, how we sinned, then God redeemed us, and then he created an absolutely new and beautiful creation for us to enjoy. And this is the greater story of the Old Testament. And these two themes are key to that greater story. So let's first talk about the Kinsman Redeemer. So the theme of the Kinsman Redeemer shows that God continually is going to raise people up from Israel to save them. There are stories upon stories in the Old Testament of God raising up people like David, who came and defended Israel from Goliath and the Philistines. People like Samuel, who represented God to the people of Israel and appointed a king. There's a whole book, the book of Judges, that lists person after person who were raised up by God to save them and free them from the midst of Israel. God will also sometimes appoint people who are outside of Israel, but usually he chooses somebody from Israel itself to redeem the Israelites. And so God chooses to work through their kinsmen, their brothers, their sisters, and save them from those people. And this is continuously shown through the New Testament. Jesus was born into Israel. He was a full-blooded Israelite as well as a full-blooded deity. And so he was actually raised up from Israel. He is a kinsman. He became just like the Israelites in order to save them. And so this theme shows and foreshadows how Jesus is just like one of us. It also shows that God redeems his people from those who attack them. God is somebody who never leaves his people alone, never leaves them without a defender. And so when there's other people attacking them and when there's trouble, God is there for people, and specifically the people of Israel in the Old Testament. And so this theme is key to the salvation story because it's part of the Redeemer step in the four-part meta-narrative. It is the step of going from sin before the new creation. You need to be redeemed. And Jesus is paramount to that. And that is why the Kinsman Redeemer is important to the greater storyline of the Old Testament. But the second theme is God's great faithfulness. And this is a theme that doesn't even specifically go to a particular stage in salvation, but what it does do is it shows from beginning to end how God is faithful and we are not. God created a beautiful world. We sinned. We broke his world. We broke the beautiful thing that he had created, and so he needed to rescue us and to create a new world for us to live in. And the Old Testament proves time and time again that when God makes a promise, he follows through. God made a promise to Abraham. God made a promise to Isaac. God made a promise to Jacob, and he followed through. He promised the land. He promised wealth. He promised all these beautiful things, and he always followed through. And the only thing that prevented those things from happening was sin. But he still chose to redeem his people and reinstate them into the promised land. And this is a theme that is continuous depending on where you are in the Old Testament. God is continually faithful to his people. And this is one of the most important things because it establishes that God's past faithfulness can give us that future reassurance that we need. Since God's been faithful in the past to everyone who's needed his help, we can rely on him when we ask for help in the future. We don't ever have to be afraid. We don't ever have to be alone because God is always with us. And he has chosen to be faithful to people who have spurned him, who have basically cheated on him with other gods and mistreated him. And so we only need to be able to look to his past and know that no matter what we do or how we act, God is still bigger than anything that we have to deal with. And so the Old Testament theme of God's faithfulness helps us to know that when God says that he's redeemed us and he's forgiven us of sin, he means it. And we don't have to live in that fear. We don't have to live in that condemnation anymore. And so God's faithfulness is a key theme in the Old Testament to contribute to the greater storyline of God's redemption for us. Because if God wasn't faithful, his redemption would mean nothing. We would still be likely to have to deal with some kind of judgment just because of something that happened to us or something that we did. We might still have to bear the consequences of our sins, but we can trust that God has truly redeemed us through Jesus, and we don't have to live in fear, and we can live close to God just like how he wanted us to in the beginning. Thank you.